Hello and welcome to Hari's Helping Hands. My name is Hari G. Darcy, and today both myself and my little bundle of joy, who you will probably hear off and on in the background because no matter what I do, he just wants to pitch in at random. And yes, my little bundle of joy, his name is Ishmael. Welcome, Ishmael. Hey, how you doing? You sitting there breathing heavy in my lap after killing off an 8-ounce bottle. Yes, he's not even a month old, and my baby got a big bag. But that's besides the point. Anyway, welcome to Hari's Helping Hands again. Today we are going to focus on the topic rebuilding trust after betrayal. Just a few little things about Hari Helping Hands before we dive deep into this. Your support helps Hari Helping Hands stay free, forever free. Your support can simply look like sharing the content with someone on and off of Substack. Your support can be implementing pieces of the advice that I provide within the content itself. Your support, of course, can be financial support if you would like to tip or donate towards Hari's Helping Hands to help continue to keep the content free, ad-free, no paywalls, no shenanigans. This is totally community supported and community funded and everything else. I'm focusing on community. Now, another little thing I did want to mention outside of my little bundle of joy wanting to pinch in and randomly grunt in the background no matter what I do. Some of these words in this piece, I tried my hardest to say it as accurately as much as possible, but you will hear some country twang going on. I'm not going to lie to you. You really will. Bear with me. And if it sounds funny verbally, I hope you're reading along. That's just it. It is what it is. I really and truly hope that you're reading along while you're listening to me read this to you. And if you're not necessarily reading along, then, just work with me here. Okay. Not everybody is perfect. And of course, as the saying goes, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. All right, and there we go. Now, let's go ahead and start talking about rebuilding trust after betrayal. Trust is a basic part of human connection. It helps people feel safe, supported, and understood. When betrayal happens, that sense of safety breaks. Betrayal can look like lying, hiding important information, or breaking a promise. Even though betrayal hurts deeply, and I mean it hurts deeply, it hurts. Psychology shows that people can move through stages of repair and resilience. These stages help explain how trust can be rebuilt and how individuals can grow stronger after being hurt, for the most part. Okay. Stage 1, shock and awareness. The first stage is shock and awareness, which occurs when the betrayal becomes consciously recognized. At this point, the body often responds before cognitive processing is fully engaged. Physiological reactions may include increased heart rate, muscle tension, and accelerated thought patterns as the brain's threat system, particularly the amygdala, activates. Although the perceived threat is emotional rather than physical, the brain responds as if danger is present. Individuals in this stage frequently experience confusion or emotional overload, and it is common to require time to integrate and understand the event. Stage 2, acknowledgment. The second stage is acknowledgment. In this stage, the individual who caused the harm must recognize and take responsibility for the impact of their actions. Acknowledgement extends beyond offering an apology. It requires clearly naming the behavior, understanding why it was harmful, and listening to the injured person's experience. Without acknowledgement, the repair process cannot process. or should I say progress. For example, if a friend violates your trust by sharing private information, acknowledgement would involve stating, hey, I shared something you trusted me with and that caused you harm. I greatly apologize for that. Or it can go like this, because I've been doing this for a pretty good minute. I was not aware what I said to you did hurt your feelings. It was not my intention to hurt your feelings in such a way. I do apologize. Doing this step supports nervous system's regulation by introducing clarity, accountability, and emotional honesty into the interaction. This alone helps set the tone of the repairing process. Because without acknowledgement, no matter what you do afterwards, no matter what you do before, and for sure, no matter what you try to do during the process, it means nothing. To fix something without acknowledgement is like saying, hey, I have a flat tire, and you continue driving on that flat tire. You know that it's flat. You know it needs to be patched up. You know that the tire needs to be repaired or even replaced. But knowingly noticing the issue, but you're not acknowledging the situation, everything else doesn't matter. As much as we convince ourselves that it does matter, I promise you, it doesn't matter. We as human beings want attention at the end of the day. That's why we read other people's work. That's why we write for those that are diligent writers. We write out our experiences. First off, to heal whatever is going on with us, but also to create that window for the outsiders to look in, because we still crave some sort of attention. If we did not crave attention, we would not be here. We would not be sharing our experiences with others. And then after we crave that attention, if someone or a group of people say something that does hurt us, we internalize it for a very long time. Some people, they internalize it and then poof, it disappears. Other people, it takes forever for them to work through the problems. Either way, whenever we're hurt, we internalize and we replay it over and over and over in our minds. And sometimes the hurt doesn't have to be somebody intentionally hurting our feelings. That hurt can be losing a child. That hurt can be being in a financial hardship. That hurt can be knowing you have to answer to some of your bill collectors before you lose everything. You're just one paycheck away from being homeless, or your world come crashing down. We have to acknowledge those things in our lives. We have to see it for what it is and not for what we want it to be. So I know all of what I said isn't necessarily written down, but this part, this stage sets the tone for the repair, for any type of healing that you want done in your life. You can do everything else by the book. You can purchase all the self-helps. But at the end of the day, if you are not putting in the work to change, what good is it for you to spend $20 on a self-help book? What good is it for you to sit down and speak with a therapist for 20, 30, 45 minutes of your day, every other day? It doesn't mean anything because you haven't acknowledged the issue within yourself, within the situation, and how you can come up with a simple and doable solution or resolution to your problem. Moving on. Stage 3, accountability and action. Accountability involves taking responsibility for the harm and demonstrating a concrete plan for change. This stage emphasizes behavior rather than intention alone. Just like with acknowledgement, you have to be ready to take responsibility, or should I say, you have to be ready to take accountability for your actions. This stage not only emphasizes the behavior rather than the intention alone, but it teaches you other ways to resolve your issues, or other ways to, metaphorically speaking, climb that mountain, so that way you feel accomplished when you reach the top. Psychological research consistently shows that trust is strengthened when actions align with stated commitments. In the process of rebuilding trust, an individual may establish new habits, implement supportive routines, or increase transparency, which is my ultimate favorite. I love being transparent, and I love it for when people are transparent, whether if it is a little on the critical side or on the supportive side. Transparency with respect, I can deal with that all day, every day. For example, if a partner concealed financial decisions, accountability might involve sharing budgets or purchasing decisions, with those that are involved. These behavioral changes help restore a sense of safety and reliability. Stage 4, consistency. Consistency involves the repeated demonstration of trustworthy behavior over time. This phase is gradual and cumulative, and it is where relational resilience begins to develop. Because the brain learns through patterns, observing the same reliable behavior across repeated interactions help restore a sense of security. Consistency also supports the rebuilding of the quote-unquote trust jar, a metaphor that represents trust as something that is replenished slowly through honest and dependable actions. Even small behaviors, such as arriving on time, honoring commitments, and communicating clearly, contribute meaningfully to the repair process. I love consistency. Consistency is very reliable. Of course, we are creatures of habit, but as soon as we establish that sense of familiarity, that's a tricky word for me. Basically, when we are consistent, we can also be dependable, predictable, and reliable. Of course, again, there are moments in our lives where life likes to throw random curveballs at us. So we also have to be very mindful as to how we counteract those curveballs. If we remain consistent to our foundations and our principles, but we allow just a little bit of wiggle room as well, for growth, I think we'll be A-okay. Moving on, stage 5, boundary setting. The 5th stage is boundary setting. Boundaries are limits that protect emotional well-being. After betrayal, boundaries help create structure and safety. A boundary might be asking for more communication, needing time before discussing certain topics, or limiting certain behaviors. Boundaries are not punishments. I repeat, boundaries are not punishments. They are tools that support healing. When boundaries are respected, resilience grows because the hurt person feels more in control of their environment. Speaking from personal experience, this is the first time ever in my life where I have this much control with certain things going on. For years, I did have control with some things in my life, but I did not. I've always depended on someone else to maintain that control. For example, I've depended on my ex-husband when it came with bills. I felt very close-minded. I'll be very honest with myself as well and you guys. I was very close-minded. I believed certain bills is not my responsibility. I'll still make the money to pay it, but mentally, it does not share that same space with other important things throughout the household. Taking care of the children, making sure the house is clean, making sure dinner is made, making sure that I am good. At least reminding myself to either brush my teeth for the day or take a good shower so I won't smell toasty throughout my day. Whatever. Since the separation, and for sure after my pregnancy, I have genuinely lost most of my sense of control and direction because I'm so used to depending on others to provide that for me. So stepping into on my own, I'm realizing I can gain more control in my life. All I have to do is start setting boundaries and being committed to a lot of those boundaries that I'm setting. Otherwise, I just look like a crazy person who's throwing a toddler tantrum. I mean, that's just it. I'm setting financial boundaries. I'm setting familial boundaries. I'm setting educational boundaries. I'm doing this to make sure that my mental health stays on point. I'm also doing this so that way my spiritual health stays on point. For me, when I talk about boundary setting, there are times where I feel like I'm not qualified to talk about it, but I am in such a way because I know what it feels like when people overstep boundaries. I for sure know what it feels like when people out-talk you or over-talk you and assume that they know more than you when it comes down with you. Now, to each their own. I feel like everything is an equal playing ground. You're still learning more about you, just like other people are learning more about you. There are some things that you did not even know about yourself, just like there are other things people don't know about you. It's a give and take. But setting boundaries, you will be you'll be surprised with how well this helps alleviate some of the stressors in your life. It won't take away everything. It won't stop everything, but you'll be surprised. And as messed up as it sounds, I work in collections. And some people get mad at me because they answer their phone because they're sick and tired of the bill collectors calling. For sure, if you're an iPhone user, you better hit that do not disturb. Don't pick up. Set that boundary for now. Stay on top of your bills. Stay on top of your delinquency. Stay on top of your responsibilities. If you know for sure this is too much for you to handle, it is okay to surrender your items. Especially if you're younger, you have time to gain those items back or get something equivalent of value. But I digress. This is one of those things I can go on forever about. But for now, for the sake of this post, we're just going to keep trucking along. Okay? Stage 6. Emotional regulation and reflection. The 6th stage is emotional regulation and reflection. This phase centers on managing intense emotional responses while developing a clearer understanding of personal needs and boundaries. Betrayal often activates feelings such as anger, sadness, fear, and disappointment. Emotional regulation allows individuals to express these emotions in a controlled and constructive manner without causing additional harm to themselves or others. Strategies such as deep breathing, journaling, and pausing difficult conversations can support emotional stability during this stage. Reflection further enables both individuals to examine the factors that contributed to the betrayal and to identity to identify what is necessary for long-term repair and relational growth. Stage 7, reconnection or redirection. The final stage is reconnection or redirection. In some relationships, trust is gradually restored and the connection emerges stronger and more secure. It may not be like how it was at the beginning, but there are some improvements because now you guys are learning more about each other, and you're also discovering the endurance and the dedication and the determination to push through the mistakes, the hiccups in the relationship, or just in anything in your life. Now, in other cases, the repair process leads to a new direction, such as redefining the relationship or choosing to disengage. Both outcomes represent adaptive forms of resilience. The objective is not to eliminate the past, but to use insight and growth to support a healthier and more stable future. This is something I'm still working on. It is very challenging for me to throw away 6 years of a marriage. It is extremely, extremely challenging for me to turn a blind eye. But we just have to go through a lot of redirections during this phase. And some of the redirections may include limiting to no contact with each other. It just depends on how both people show up for one another and how well both parties embrace these changes. So it is okay if your redirection looks like no connection, limited connection, or open connection. You are the one that's in control of your life. You are the one that's in control of who has contact and connections and closeness with you. I don't control that. ChatGPT does not control that. Microsoft Copilot doesn't control that. Substack doesn't control that. Nobody else in this entire world, digital or traditional, controls that but you. No matter how many times you write about it, no matter how many times you go to therapy, at the end of the day, you have to make that final decision to either reconnect or redirect. There's no in between. And if you create an in between, I promise you, you're going to be more stressed out than how you felt like at the beginning, especially before the betrayal and during the betrayal. Summary. Rebuilding trust after betrayal is a multi-layered and gradual process that requires intention, effort, and emotional awareness from everyone involved. Each stage, awareness, acknowledgement, accountability, consistency, boundaries, emotional regulation, and reconnection, addresses a different aspect of healing and repair. Together, these stages form a structured framework that helps individuals understand the psychological and relational work necessary for restoring a sense of safety and stability. When approached with consistency and care, this process supports both personal growth and relational resilience. Whether the outcome involves renewed connection or a redefined relationship, the goal is to move forward with greater clarity, emotional integrity, and respect for personal boundaries. In this way, trust repair becomes not only a response to harm, but an opportunity for meaningful and lasting change. Before we go, I just want to say this. Do what's best for you. If you're a parent, do what's best for your child or children. Do what's best for you as well. Do what's best for your household. And call it a day. A lot of people may agree with you. A lot of people may disagree with you. But at the end of the day, what matters most is if you agree with it or if you disagree with it. And if you do agree with it, how can you do that again for other situations in your life? If you disagree with it, what could you do better? What could you improve? That's just it. There's no in between. It's easy for me to say this, but it's also challenging for me to walk through the same advice as well. With so many penetrating life changes hitting me left, right, and diagonal, I struggle with this each and every day. But one thing I will say, I'm going to keep pushing through this one way or another. Even if I just do something small, I will feel proud. I will feel accomplished. And I will give myself that pat on the back I truly deserved. Not because I'm performing for you or for anybody else that's watching. I'm performing for myself. In fact, I'm not even performing at all. I'm rewriting my own narrative. And I'm improving it in such a way where the day I draw my last breath, I can finally say, I am well pleased with the life that I've lived. So, with that being said, thank you again for hanging out with Hari G. Darcy, aka me. I think baby Ishmael is officially quiet. He's looking at me like I owe him another bottle of milk, even though I gave him, like I said, a healthy dose of 8 ounces. And for my overly protective parents, no, he ate them in portions, but he can kill off 8-ounce bottles now. Don't forget to subscribe to Hari's Helping Hands. And if you don't feel like subscribing, that's totally fine. Spread the message, spread the word. You will be surprised who really needs to hear this most. Or maybe who just needs to read it and not listen to my voice, because my voice might put you to sleep. All right. Until then, thank you. Remember, you are loved. You are appreciated. And I am grateful that we had this conversation today.